have a pretty strange background or career myself. At 11 years old, yeah, this was in the early 1990s. My dad got me a computer, a PC. This was not very common in those days. This is pre-internet, and I fell in love with it. So I started learning a lot of programming at 11 years old. But then as I grew up, I sort of like changed, and when I went to college, I actually studied accounting. And I actually became an accountant. And after a while, I thought that it wasn't really for me. So when I came back to Malaysia, I ended up working in recruitment / HR. Again, very different, right? Headhunting, which is also sales related, very different. And then one whole circle, now I'm the founder of a tech company, again, in recruitment. So you can see I'm one of those, I suppose, odd people that went through different kind of careers. And I personally understand the challenge of helping people find that right place to work is quite personal to me. When I was doing headhunting, there's one day I went out for a drink with my friend, and in that conversation, he was complaining about the existing job portals, which is something I hear a lot from my clients. And then I tell them that, hey, then you can just headhunt, right, if the job portal doesn't work. And my friend said, well, I'm a small company, so I can't afford to headhunt. And then he said that what's the solution for someone like me who can't afford headhunting? And he actually showed me or gave me different ideas of different platforms and that they're out there around the world. And one of them really caught my eye, right? And it has this concept that is focused on culture, company culture. And I kind of fell in love with it. I looked at it and I think, hey, my intuition says that Malaysians will love the concept of finding the right company culture for them. So the whole concept of like starting a platform that's focused on culture actually started there. I actually approached it not as a business person. I didn't really know how to make money from it. I didn't know how a startup is supposed to test the idea and scale, and I didn't know how to raise money. I actually approached it more like an inventor or an artist. I saw a concept, an idea that I really liked, and I said, I want to bring this idea to market. It was as simple as that. Every different year of our journey, we would face an obstacle that would threaten to end us. Like, that was it. Like, this is the thing that would end or close the company. Like in the early years, obviously it was very difficult to raise money on a concept that was very new and you didn't have traction. And I wasn't a proven entrepreneur. And then over time, obviously, we were very focused on building a real business and not just relying on funding, right? So we learned that, most recently, obviously, we faced like a pandemic in 2020. And when the business is affected, the economy is affected, the one space that is negatively impacted is recruitment. And we are in the recruitment world. But I sort of have this belief that at every point, what a good founder should be able to do is, when you face with the problem, sort of just calmly try to make the right decisions, right? Without sort of emotionally reacting to it, and trust that you and your team will sort of pull through and be very kind of problem solving or solution orientated, rather than just being very panicked about it. Probably be more confident in our vision, and also be more confident that we'll be able to find people who believe in the vision. Because one of the things that when you like I said in the beginning, it's very difficult to raise money. I don't know how to raise money. It's very difficult to get clients and customers. So the tendency is to try to spend a lot of time persuading people to change their mind. Whereas I think actually the right approach is just be very clear on what the vision is, which we are now, and be very confident about it, and just focus on the people that can see that and share that vision, and focus your energy on that instead. I think that is something that if you ask me to rewind time, you probably go back in time, that would save us a lot of time. We were in the pioneer batch for Magic's E at Stanford program. This was in late 2014, and we haven't even launched the product properly yet. at the time. So we were quite lucky we got in. So not exactly an accelerator, but definitely like a program that's focused on building a startup, right? Like a short-term program, and where we meet real startups, real people, and actually got to meet a lot of mentors. We were also part of Cradle's Coach and Grow CGP program, was also very useful to us. So every time we join these kind of different programs, we learn something new, right? And we kind of expand our mind, and it's been very useful to us. Especially if you have no clue what you're doing, which I believe is 99% of people out there, it is a good idea to join one. It's not because everything you learn there may apply to you or will work, but it really helps people think about the startup in the right way. Whether you agree or not, this approach maybe doesn't work exactly for your company, but those concepts are quite useful, and especially if you're in a technology startup, right? The thing about accelerators is, and tech startups in general, is a lot of people speak a certain language. So there's certain terminology that every startup actually commonly use, which you will not find in the general public, right? Like I never learned it until I started working in a startup, which is not only useful for you to build the company, look at the company the right way, but even when you talk to investors, like immediately they'll ask you these kind of questions, and you understand straight away because you've been exposed to this different jargon or terminology or whatnot, right? So it's very important if you want to grow within the startup ecosystem to understand how the startup ecosystem thinks and how the startup ecosystem speaks. I'm not just talking about the education from the program, right? It's also the exposure that we get coming out of the program. So, whether it's from an investor that is looking for a good startup to invest in, they might look at the accelerators and see what kind of startups are coming out, So there's some kind of credibility, right? Like a pre-screening for an investor like that. I could go back to, I suppose, the problem that we're trying to solve. Essentially, when it comes to recruitment or looking for a job, it's actually a very complex question. Different people are looking for different things. And when you're looking for a job, you're not just looking whether your skill match the job or not. You're also seeing whether you like your boss or not, you like your colleagues or not, what kind of culture the company has, what's the location. There are so many little things that sometimes it's very difficult to capture purely online. Sometimes you need a human being involved. Like they just talk to you and immediately do you know where you should be working, right? Very fast. And so because of this, we are trying to integrate this kind of online to offline concept, right? Now, how the AI is sort of brought into this equation is that the problem with anything offline is it's difficult to scale, right? When you need a lot of human beings involved, very difficult to scale, which is why a lot of recruitment agencies are very small. Even the big ones are small. In the context of how many people they help, they are small. So because we have the advantage of owning an online platform with this huge amount of data, we are training the AI to think like a recruiter, to kind of scan through all this data and help all these people find that right job, right, to do. But the difference between an AI and the human being is a human being maybe in one day, let's say, maybe I can interview 20 people. If I work very hard, I can interview 20 people in one day. The AI can interview 1,000 people in 1 minute. 10,000 people in 1 minute. It's very fast. It's a completely different game, right? Everything is automated. So there's a lot of things that are sort of shortcut because of the AI, and we are going to kind of use that to drive the efficiency in the offline business. So lots of work still to go in here, but the great news for us is so far I can see that we are the only company attempting to do this, in the region, and it's going to be pretty exciting. If you are someone that is wondering if you should have a startup, or if you're wondering if you should build your own startup and you're sitting on it, then my advice would be start. Just start. Just go start and then you figure it out. And the second thing is, do it for the right reason. Take it seriously, So I don't want people to think that building a startup is cool. maybe I'm going to be like the next Elon Musk or something. But it's not really about that, right? You have to really be, because it's so hard, right? You have to really fall in love with the thing that you're trying to do. Like with our story, I actually started a job portal about culture because I love the idea. Because I fell in love with the idea. I approached it like an artist. And that is the thing that sort of powers me every day to build something without a clear roadmap in front of me. So it's a bit cliche lah. I think people say this a lot, but it's actually very true. If you come and start a startup and you're thinking, I just want to look cool, I think I want to use this to buy a BMW. My guess is there might be people who have succeeded like this, but my guess is it's going to be hard. That's my guess. So don't be one of these people, right? Do it for the right reason, love it, but most importantly, you should just start. Don't overthink.